Cause not only you in my mind, oh. Ready to find your light, the lie. Me, I know the lie, oh. Not only you in my head, oh. Yeah, only you in my head, oh. See, now you they cause confusion in my head, yeah. Me, I know the lie, you're my fantasy. You're my fantasy. Only you in my head, oh. Only you in my head, oh. See, now you they cause commotion in my head, oh. Me, I know the lie, you're my fantasy, yeah.
I'm a guest on this.
Can you even imagine what is going on inside? Is this reality? Oh yeah, 'cause I don't wanna wake up from this dream. Them say something must kill a man. Oh, na, na, na. But if I your body, girl, I don't mind. Oh, yeah. 'Cause not only you in my mind, oh. Yeah, yeah. See you to find me, I know the liar. See, now only you in my head, oh. Yeah, only you in my head, oh. See, now you they cause confusion in my head, oh. Yeah, me, I know the liar, my me, I know the liar. Only you in my head, only you in my head, oh. See, now you they cause commotion in my head, oh. Yeah, me, I know the liar, my fantasy. See, now only you in my head, only you in my head, oh. See, now you they cause confusion in my head, oh. Me, I know the lie, I know the lie. Only you in my head, oh. Yeah, only you in my head, oh. See, now you the cause commotion in my head, oh. Me, I know the lie of my fantasy.
All right. Hello to everybody in the chat. Sorry to keep you all waiting. I've been having a few technical difficulties, but we are here. Let me go ahead and say hello to everybody in the chat. But before I do that, first, I want to welcome my guests. I'm really honored to have all of these ladies here with me. And you may not know, but some of us ladies have had issues in the past or whatever. And we've put all that stuff to the side to come together for what I think matters the most. And that is the lives of Black people being taken. So right beside me, I have the Miss O. She has joined me tonight. Beside her, Vivian Jennings. And then right underneath of Vivian Jennings, we have BBNice. And to her side, we have Sharine, a.k.a. Miss Iverson, a.k.a. Miss IHOP. Yes. Okay. I had to give a little bit of shade. And right beside her, we have Misunderstood. And down at the bottom, we have SWAAG Found. Okay. So let me go ahead and say hello to everybody, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So I'm going back up to the top of the top. We got BBNice, who's also on the panel. We have Mo's Kitchen and Home. She is also a part of the green sector. So make sure that you are subscribed to her channel and you support Sharine, who also does content. So make sure you subscribe to her channel. I will have all the links to all of these ladies pinned down below at the end of the stream. So if you like what they're giving tonight, go ahead and check them out on their channels. Okay. And Vivian Jennings, she's also an usher with Pastor. Okay, we got Soul Sister One Show. Right. I might not highlight every comment because I just want to speak. Okay, Flowers in the Attic, Diamonds and Pearls. Beautiful Blossom TV. SWAAG Found. Fanny's Wonderful Blessed. We have Jill's Comfort Zone, also an amazing content creator. She's over there cooking that good old food. Baby, I don't even celebrate Thanksgiving, but I put on about a good 5 pounds during this Thanksgiving holiday. Okay, I should have just stuck with feeding the homeless and skipped my cousin's house. We have Laurie. I'm so happy to see you. Prima Donna with her beautiful self. Bella's World, welcome. Okay. I think I have everybody. Oh, Third World, hey. Okay, so look, I don't want to spend too much time in the comment section. We thank you all for being here. I'm going to play a quick video of Shanquella Robinson, and it gives you just a little bit of the timeline. And after that video, SWAAG Found is going to go ahead and just kind of give us a little bit of update on some of the latest things that have been going on with her case. And then after that, we're going to get into like theories around her death and how we feel about what's going on right now. And we encourage you all to join us in the comment section with this discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. It's about 5 minutes. So just bear with us. And right after that, we will be right back with some commentary.
The timeline of events and the inconsistencies that need to be cleared up. Family says Shanquella Robinson arrived to their luxurious ocean view home, Villa Linda 32, on October 28th. The guest list notes there were 7 people on the trip. Robinson called her mom to tell her a chef was cooking them dinner that night.
I said, well, okay, I love you, have a good night.
And she talked to her the next day. We know at some point Robinson was violently assaulted by another woman inside the villa. Picture comparison with the villa's online photo gallery confirms the fight happened in the master suite. Multiple people watched the fight, encouraging Quella to fight back.
Quella, can you at least fight back?
No. She says no before she's thrown to the ground and punched and kicked in the head and back of the neck. Investigative reporter Gerardo Zuniga with Metro Polymix shared the police report with Queen City News. It says on October 29th at 2:13 p.m., the group called for a doctor, telling that doctor Robinson drank too much alcohol and they wanted to give her an IV. At 3:15 p.m., the doctor arrived and noted Robinson had a poor verbal response in a drunken state, with stable vital signs and was dehydrated. Dr. Carolina Beatriz Ornelias Gutierrez recommended they transfer Robinson to the hospital, but her friends insisted they treat her on site. At 4:20, Robinson had a seizure, and that's when her friend, named in the report as Wenter Donovan, called 911 to request an ambulance. During that time, Robinson's condition deteriorated. Dr. Gutierrez declared her deceased just before 6 p.m. The doctor was with Robinson for nearly 3 hours, a large discrepancy with her death certificate, which says she died 15 minutes after her injury. Another inconsistency, her time of death, which is noted as 3 p.m. on her death certificate and 6 p.m. in the police report. Police who were called to the villa at 5 p.m. arrived at 5:25. They tell Queen City News friends also told officers Robinson had alcohol poisoning, something they say they knew was false when her autopsy came back. On November 9th, Robinson's mother, frustrated and seeking the truth, speaks to Queen City News, telling us she doesn't believe the story her daughter died of alcohol poisoning, something her so-called friends were also telling the family. On November 10th, Robinson's body arrived back home to family along with her death certificate, which listed her cause of death a severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, which is instability in the top vertebrae in the neck. It indicated to family she had been beaten. On November 16th, only after news agencies pressed Mexican authorities on the suspicious death did they share a press release stating they were investigating the death of a woman at Fundadores Beach Club. 2 days later, November 18th, the FBI announced it had launched an investigation into Robinson's death, nearly 3 weeks after she died. Now, in that police report, the doctor lists her cause of death as cardiac arrest, not a severe spine injury. One thing that's remained consistent is that aside from statements made from friends, there's no mention of alcohol in Robinson's body or as a cause of death. Brian.
And then all over, I have people from Africa everywhere telling me about it.
A lot has changed since we first spoke with Salamandra Robinson. The search for answers in her daughter's death in San Jose del Cabo has changed from feeling ignored to feeling validated. But as information emerges, separating fact from fiction has proven difficult. Fake Instagram accounts have emerged pretending to be Robinson's friends who were with her on the trip, Shanquella herself, and even her mom, claiming things her real mom knows nothing about.
Oh, not me. I haven't put anything on Instagram in probably 5 weeks.
Not her. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not my Instagram. I didn't share that.
Salamandra says she's still trying to piece things together. She knows the police report and death certificate give conflicting information about Robinson's cause of death, time of death, and the fact that she was with a doctor for 3 hours at the villa before she died.
Mexico, I just think they didn't care. You know, they just didn't care. And they just wrote down what they told them. You know, all of them had plotted this and my beliefs. And they just said that it was alcohol poison. And when the police came in to investigate, you know, they could have looked at her and said it seemed that she had been jumped on.
Robinson expressed displeasure with the doctor, saying she didn't do enough to save her daughter and didn't recognize her injuries.
She had a knot on her head, lip was busted, eye was, even the guy said she had a bloodshot eye. You know, the doctor didn't do their job either.
Robinson is now pleading with the public and those on the trip to share any remaining video and information that could help their family learn the full truth.
I want everything to come out because I want the truth, what happened to my child, and I want justice done. So I want all the videos to be released.
Okay, so this is a prime example of every parent's worst nightmare. And tonight we're here discussing this to bring awareness to parents and young adults who are, you know, claiming individuals as friends and traveling outside of their comfort zone and not being prepared for the worst to take place. And so this hit home as a mother of, I have 2 daughters as well. And you know how our children, they claim people to be friends. And the sad part about this situation is that one of these individuals actually had been on family trips with the family and, you know, supposedly the best friend. And when they came home, the family was left with unanswered questions. The worst part of this story is that there are so many false narratives that are going on throughout the YouTube and social media streets, as well as fake accounts even being claimed as their parent, her parents, which is false. And so we're here to discuss this and some other things that we would like you all to take into account and share with your loved ones and family members, and add your, you know, your conversation into this matter.
Okay. Now, one thing that I want to say is that a lot of people have, I don't want to say that they victim shamed her, but they have pretty much been like, you know, her friends weren't her friends, which they were not. But how many of us have been around people that we deemed to be our friends, only to find out later on that they didn't have our best interests at heart, or we found out they were talking behind our backs or things like that. So I think the situation that Shanquella got herself into, I think we've all been in those situations, at least at one point and one time. Now, I know something that 21 Savage said, and I ain't trying to, you know, get into quoting rappers or anything like that, but he was asked about love and loyalty. And I just want to play this quick little clip because I actually agree with this.
Intentionally to hurt me. So that's what I mean by that. Like, I'd rather have somebody who is always going to have my best interests at heart, is never going to do nothing to betray me, versus just have somebody who just love me. Because you could kill me out of love. You can love me so much to the point that it drive you crazy and you kill me. But if you loyal to me, you ain't going to never do nothing to harm me, because your loyalty is like, you have loyalty with me. You don't want to cross me. You know what I'm saying?
How many times do we watch shows like Black Girl Unlost, and we find women who are married to men for 10 years, 15 years, and that man turns around and kills them because that woman wants to walk away. If I can't have you, nobody can. You know what I mean? So sometimes love just is not enough. So when it comes to her death, I also strongly believe that she was drugged. A lot of people have said, well, if she was drugged, it would have showed in the toxicology report. But at the same time, they also stated that this girl died of alcohol poison in the beginning. So why do we have so much confidence in what the Mexico, government is saying? Is there anybody else that feels like maybe she was drugged, or am I the only person that feels that
Oh
way?
no, I said that there was a rumor, going around. They say in town in Charlotte that Khalil had past experience with the roofie before, giving that to a female or whatever to have their way. And then also, I remembered just before we came on this live that one of those pills goes out the bloodstream, goes out the system very, very fast. And I forgot which one it is. And
Was it an E pill?
And that's what I'm saying. Well, Rudolph is the one. The roofie is the one that they said Khalil has been accused of giving to women in his past before. But I don't know what, like the one I'm talking about that doesn't that goes out the system fast. I forgot the name of that one, because either that or because if the spinal cord injury is why people say she couldn't fight back, but according to the doctor, that the timing wasn't right. And I've seen that kind of induced slump. That's like coming out of some kind of anesthesia, something to where you in your mind, but your body can't move, almost like a twilight thing.
That's how I felt looking at it. I'm like, that reminds me of coming out of surgery, where you're thinking, you're hearing what's around you, but you can't really do anything. You know what I mean? So I really truly believe that girl was drugged, and nothing will make me, because first of all, your reflexes, even if you're not a fighter, by reflexes, you're going to go in defense mode. Even if you don't fight back, you're going to try to protect yourself or whatever. And she really wasn't doing anything at all. So
she wasn't showing any resistance either.
I think that pill that you're talking about is I don't know, that we call it roofie. It's like Rufinol, because it stays in the body for like a few hours and it's detected for only 70 hours after. So I think you're talking about the roofie, which is Rufinol.
You also have GHB that will go out of the system very quickly.
Right. Yeah, I believe she was drugged as well, because she didn't show any resistance. Like even if you're not a fighter, it's a natural response to try to, fight back. You don't just let somebody beat you like that. And so
I have another theory, though.
Well, there's another video that they said that they're going to eventually release that they're now looking at, because the fact it happened in the master bedroom and the way her bed was arranged and the size she slept on the bed, is that they believe that they came and woke her up out of her sleep. And her parents said that she does sleep without clothes. So that's that answer why she might have not had any clothing on at the time. And in that video, it shows as she went to get up, it's like they walked in on her and was like, get up kind of thing out of the bed. And she was, if she had a hangover or anything, just pretty much just coming straight out of her bed and someone attacking you, like as soon as they woke her up out of her sleep.
I mean, I think that I
another
agree
video
that
they're gonna release.
I agree that she was just woken up, but I think even with her just being woken up, I still feel that she was drugged. Now, she could have been drugged the night before. She could have been drugged earlier that day. Whatever it was, I do feel that she was drugged, because even with small children, if you go to give a small child a spanking, they're going to put their hands over their butt. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do something. They're not going to just do absolutely nothing. So
they're definitely going to resist.
Right.
But does anyone know the timeline? Because there's a couple of things that has been going on, and I'm just trying to figure out a timeline. So we seen the video where she was having dinner. Then we also seen a video where she was getting ready and telling everybody it don't take that long to get naked. And then we also see a video where her friend is standing over her talking about, we got a dead body. Remember, she was like already intoxicated and probably fell asleep.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out all these timelines to the point where her life is taken, to where she gets into this fight with this girl.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure that out too, especially with that video, because at first I had some theories, because I know and I know eventually you're going to bring this up about the other 3 who died over there as well. And all this took place around the time of what they call the Day of the Dead, or we call Halloween here. So at first I was wondering if it had something to do with that, because they're still not really talking about those 3 that came up dead in that Airbnb in Mexico, and they said that was due to carbon monoxide poisoning. But then also this situation, when I saw that Chanson video and him saying we got a body. So I'm very confused about that as well too. I'm just trying to piece the timeline together.
I'm gonna say this real quick, and I know a lot of people aren't really gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. That's why I don't participate in things called Halloween. I know some of y'all may, I don't. I never did it with my kids. I don't fool around with voodoo, hoodoo, none of that crap, because the power is truly in the tongue. We have to be careful about what we say and what we participate in. I won't even eat those voodoo the little cheese thing. I won't even fool. I won't even buy them strictly off the name. It's just certain things I won't even touch it. You know, and it's not that I'm scared of these different, you know, powers that be, because I'm covered by the blood, but I just don't fool around with any of that stuff. And I think sometimes we have to be careful about, you know, what we participate in and what we celebrate. So anybody want to go into, you know, I assume when I heard the guy saying we got a body, I truly thought that she was already gone at that point.
No, I mean, like, I think Bella said that was the night before. So what my question is, I understand it may, yeah, you're right. It could have been the night before, or it could have been early that morning. And because it's simply, you can clearly see when that fight occurred, it was light out. So it's like a timeline between like what time she actually started drinking to the point where she got so intoxicated that she just fell out the first time. And did she ever recover? Like when she got back up, was she sober? Did she start drinking again? Did she wake up to a fight? Like it's that timeline that is very curious for me.
Well, apparently that video was made before dinner, like before they had that taco dinner. That video was supposedly made prior to that from the Instagram post that what's his name, Khalil made from, you know, like from her phone. It was from her phone, but it was on her actual Instagram, according to Gerald, who was in contact with the family.
That's what I don't understand. This is where the Mexico boycott thing comes in, and not of course they, you know, whether they plan to kill her, whether they plan to fight her, that still doesn't matter. Either way, the outcome's gonna be the same. There's a whole lot of people in death row for accidents because you engaged in the fight and you didn't know that person couldn't be hit in the head a certain way and they died. So I mean, I'm not so, you know, what, it doesn't really matter to me whether they premeditated it. Well, it does for you know, I want for the United States to be. I hope they find some kind of premeditation, because so the United States can be a little bit more aggressive also. And they can just play ball with how they want to handle that. But my thing is this, the whole thing with the other deaths and with what happened with her death certificate at our State Department, it's like, okay, that's a Black woman. Mexico has to send them a death certificate. It took all that time. They looked on there, saw the alcohol poisoning mess, but then also saw that she had a spinal cord injury. And then I'm like, and they just like processed it about the thing, stamped it, and made it available for the parents. And see, that's where I'm mad, because we are United States citizens. They are supposed to look out for our best interests and look out for when we go overseas and abroad, and to people who they have an understanding with, to countries who there's no travel freeze with. They're supposed to have our best you know, interest at heart, and it just seems like they dropped the ball too. So I think pressure needs to be put on them for that. And like I'm saying, like the toxicology, like they drunk the night before. How are you gonna tell me that she had a clear toxicology report? Then I hear that she didn't have a toxicology report at all. Alcohol would still be in her system, like it would still be there. Exactly. And look how small and petite she is.
Okay. Even if she didn't die, other deaths as well. The carbon monoxide. Now I question, and I hope those families go in and ask for a second investigation as well too.
And let me just add this really quick. Hold on one second, Vivian. Let me just add this real quick, because I don't want to step into another thing and we bypass this. a lot of people don't understand why we say boycott Mexico, because they're saying like Mexico didn't do it. But I agree with Miss O exactly what she just said. And even more so, the fact that they should have never been allowed to leave the country. There's another story that I'm going to talk about in this broadcast, okay, where another lady lost her life. And guess what? Nobody had to boycott. Nobody had to call the U.S. state board. Nobody had to make no phone calls. Nobody had to do any of that. You know why? Because that other lady was not black. This girl is black. We don't matter. We don't matter. So the reason why Mexico let those people leave is because we don't matter. If they would have made them stay there, we would never have to worry about extraditing them back to Mexico to begin with. That is the problem.
And I think that they wanted them to leave because they are trying to protect their image. And this resort was supposedly like $2,000 a night or something.
Correct. And that's what people don't understand about these countries. Most of these countries that we go visit, we're only in one particular place. A lot of these countries are very impoverished countries, and they have this resort in the middle of the ghetto. Like, and so you're not privy. They're making money off of American citizens coming to visit their establishments. And we have so many people like Shanquella. This is an isolated case, but not really, because we have so many people that go out into these countries and lose their lives. And they don't want a bad reputation, because this is how they make their money. So they sweep things under the rug. And when it comes to this case in particular, I do believe that everybody was a participant into trying to sweep it under the rug. My theory with the 6 people, I honestly don't think that it was premeditated. I believe they went down there, they got into something. Yes, they intended to beat that girl up, but they did not intend on taking her life. And when they did, they panicked. That's just my opinion on that.
Okay, Viv, you wanted to add something?
Yes, I wanted to say, you guys got to realize that also, because it was stated about us going out of the country and the different state departments, the embassy and things of that nature protecting us. Now, you also have to realize that when we go out of the country, we must follow the rules of that said country. And the State Department and embassy, military bases are not going to go against the rules of those said countries. Sorry to say that. I've lived overseas. I've traveled many different places. And the first thing they tell us is, you're in a foreign country. You need to follow their rules. Now you mess around, get caught up over here. You left. And there's nothing that the State Department can really do.
You're right about that, Viv, and people not gonna like this teaching. I'm saying a lot of things that's gonna offend a lot of people, but it is what it is. I always say when I travel, I do what they say, when you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do, and that's what I do. Now, when I'm here, I try to advocate as much as I can for my LGBT people. But if I'm in another country where I know, and we're gonna talk about that within this show, if I go to another country and homosexuality is illegal, and you want to be over there with your boyfriend, and you're a man or you're a woman, and you want to be over there with your girlfriend, and they're stoning you to death, I'm going to walk right the fuck past you, because you know what the law is. And the hell if I'm going to lose my life fighting for your ass if you travel into a fucking country with your boyfriend and you don't realize that homosexuality is illegal in that country. Oh, they're not going to like this type of thing. Anybody else want to say something before they get mad and flag this video?
And you're right about that, Shelly. You must be aware of the rules in the country you go. You must be aware of the rules of engagement. Like, for instance, I lived in Germany. You would get a DUI for riding a bike because they figured a bike was a form of transportation. So you could get a DUI for riding a bike, and nobody's on the road but you. And you could get a ticket and fine if you get in an accident, even if you got a splint on your finger and you're driving, you have to know the rules of engagement for wherever you go. I'm on mute.
I encourage everybody to go to the U.S. State Department when they're going out the country, because they'll tell you, like, for example, the Dominican Republic right now has an alert on the youth department saying that they caution dark-skinned African-American females to not come. So they put like warnings, but what I was talking about was not the government protecting us over there where they have an embassy. I meant the process because King Roman, he did an extensive thing with this, and the process when someone dies in Mexico, they have to facilitate their exam, their autopsy, they process their paperwork, then they send it to our State Department to look over it, review it, make sure it matches, make sure there's nothing that looks weird, and then they just release it. And I was just and I keep getting conflicting views, like, how can you say it was alcohol poisoning when she don't have a toxicology report? Where did y'all do a toxicology report at? Like, they didn't take us to the hospital, and then we took us straight to the morgue. And then they all clearly drunk the whole time they was there. As petite as she is, that would have been some kind of alcohol in her system. And then, how do you have a spinal cord injury, but was she drunk too much? Well, that's what I meant. I mean, they didn't do their due diligence at when they released her birth certificate as well, because they also have a shared responsibility with that.
Well, the other thing is we have to also realize that every country, even the states, from state to state, do not do their autopsies the same. And you also got to realize each death does autopsies different. For instance, I have a friend whose daughter died. She reported to the coroner because the daughter was sick, but because of the state they found the house, they did a homicide autopsy. They do different autopsies on you based on the state that you're found, and they do different autopsies on you based on the story that's surrounding the circumstances that's surrounding your death. Versus somebody that's in hospice, they wouldn't get the same autopsy that a person would get that, died. So that's the other thing. So we don't know what they were actually told. So we got to look at that. We also don't know what the doctor said. Then the other thing, we talked about cover up. We don't know if someone was paid off to change information, to move information around. In a lot of these countries, they do that.
I believe that happened.
Yeah, I believe that it's a part of it too.
I definitely believe that.
Can I add something? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick. Mexico right now has a level 2 travel warning pass. So on a scale of 1 to 4, they have a level 2, which is increased caution. Find it interesting, though, this lady, she was harmed by her friends, and how quickly they were to say that a woman that's 25 years old, it could have been cardiac arrest, and how quickly they were to just dismiss that. So even though she was killed by her friend, just for U.S. citizens to know, especially if you're a person of color, a Black woman that is over there, or maybe even a man, how quickly they are to just, despite the obvious evidence, write you off and just say, hey, this is either alcohol, but she didn't have any alcohol in her system, or cardiac arrest or something like that, without even investigating. So it's just interesting that not only is there that level 2 travel warning, if something does happen, who's going to care?
Well, right. I wanted to say in reference to the cardiac arrest, there are drugs that people can drug you with that will make it look like a cardiac arrest.
But you would think they would have done a drug screen, because GHB. Okay, so that's going to last in your system like 12 hours, and then the other one is still detectable for 72, even though it gets out of your system. And I'm just like, do they even care? I'm interested. I would wonder if the FBI would order an advanced another autopsy to seek for drugs and what else could have been in her system besides what's obvious.
Does anybody know if her parents actually buried her or just had the ceremony? Because I would have thought they would have left the body so they wouldn't have to exhume it again. That possibility.
They buried her, which I didn't understand
Yeah.
that, because I feel like, you know, in order for families to mourn and try to attempt to move on, which you really never move on from the death of anybody, whether it's murder or otherwise. But I feel like you would just be reopening up those old wounds by going to exhume the body, and that's what they would have to do further testing. Another thing that I wonder about with all of these women who are going to like the DR and they're getting these BBLs and they're going over there, they're getting weight loss surgeries because maybe their insurance doesn't cover it. So they look at it like, okay, well, I'm going to go out of the country and I'm going to pay, you know, $5,000. And not only are they going to do this surgery, they're going to do 4 more surgeries to it. So with this lady who lost her daughter, when I heard her say that a person brought her daughter's body back in a car over the Mexico border, I'm thinking, well, how do you even preserve the body? You know what I mean? In order, if you want to get some tests done later on. Like, are you telling me, ma'am, that you rode in a car with your daughter's dead body? Like,
I don't even think they went though. The parents didn't even go. That's the thing. I don't think they went.
Didn't go. The parents
because they
didn't
don't
go.
have a passport.
They didn't go because the father said that when he finally saw the daughter's body, when the body got back to him, when he saw her body, he was shocked to see that she had a busted lip and abrasion here or there. They never even had made it over there. They said a guy had brought the daughter's body over. So, I mean, we're not even talking about bodies that are getting, you know, on frozen and then put in an airplane down in a body. No, we're talking about people are driving them bodies in cars
and charge them $6,000 to do that.
Oh my God!
You ruined all type of evidence. They scraping up under her fingernails and everything. They should have been. You ruined all DNA.
And that was my question. Like, how do we know? We literally, because this happened in another country, we have to trust what they say and go with it, with everything about this case. We can't send our people to them to verify, to compare and verify. We just have to trust what they said. And they already started off lying. So I'm trying to figure out, like, when is the truth and how can we ever know what the truth is concerning Mexico?
BB, even like with the military, when I was in the military, we would have to trust outside the country for certain things before the military got the body back, depending upon certain things that happen. So yeah, some things we have to depend on the other country.
And then I heard
but I thought that the parents had gotten a private autopsy, or maybe they did a forensic.
Yes, they did get that over here. That's how they found out the truth.
Right.
I think that I just seen something in the chat where someone said that she went into cardiac arrest and they gave her. So Shelly, I think that maybe you are right with the drug thing, because for such a young woman to be given so much medicine, she did go into cardiac arrest. Then why would a young woman go into cardiac arrest like that had no prior health issues that we know of? So drugs could have.
If you're beaten in certain ways, they said she went into a seizure.
They said she had seizures, yeah.
And when you're having bleeding in the brain, you can't go into a seizure. If you have a broken spinal cord and neck luxation, what that does is it cuts off your wind.
No, I realize that,
which means that you're not getting oxygen to your brain, which means that you can't go into a seizure.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, for her to not, I mean, okay, do you want to fight back? No, that sounds as if something could have possibly have been in her system and she couldn't fight back at all, for there to not be any defensive wounds or anything.
And that's what I thought too, misunderstood, only because, like I said, that scene where she was already drunk and asleep, and they were still up around her. And I was wondering if that lingered on until the morning, where she still wasn't really cohesive with what was going on with her.
Because everybody gonna put their hand over their head. That's the first thing you're gonna do is cover your head.
And that GHB
when you mentioned that
alcohol, it didn't resemble alcohol. There was no alcohol in her system, but if she was roofied or given something like that, she would have alcohol-like symptoms. Where else wouldn't they have found any alcohol in her system? But she still seemed drugged. Just saying.
And that video that she's talking about, when he's standing over her, she has clothes on. So I'm thinking that had to happen afterwards, because that's one thing I kept wanting the answer to as well, is why didn't she have any clothes on? And until today, I heard for the first time an explanation for why she might not have, had any clothes on. And then as we talk about this, the fact that they didn't even do a rape kit or anything like that, if she was drugged after that, to me, it's just a lot of loose ends.
Sharine, let me say these couple things right quick. Okay, so first, DC the Purple Diva says she's not a fighter per her parents. Her parents agree with this, but even her father, and I was kind of like happy to hear her father actually say that he felt like she had been drugged, because I'm like, this is the way I feel. And her father said, even though she wasn't a fighter, it just seemed weird that she wasn't fighting back at all. Okay, so then when it comes down to somebody said that her body was in a plane. Maybe it did get in the plane, but maybe when they said drove it over, maybe they mean from the airport. I don't know. I just know that in DR, a lot of these girls who have been passing, I heard the mother say that she had to ride with her daughter in the car to bring her daughter back, and all the stuff that she had to do. Now, by the way, the same girl who lost her life in DR, when her went and got an examination of her daughter, there was semen in her daughter's private area. Her daughter had not been sexually active since she had, since before she had given birth. Her baby was 3 months old. Her and her baby's father broke up during her pregnancy, and that was the last time that she had been sexually active. So at the end of the day, we don't know what happens even before death, and then we don't know what's happening when these bodies are in the morgues. We don't know. We don't know, and we shouldn't trust it. We shouldn't trust it.
Yeah, and I truly want to make it clear that this definitely was not a fight. A fight is when two people are interacting with swings and blows. She was attacked. That's the difference. She clearly said she did not want to fight. When they said, "Are you going to hit back?" She said no. At that point, it was no longer a fight. She was being attacked.
Right. Now, Viv, can you go ahead and break down for the people who may not understand femicide versus homicide? Because that's another thing that a lot of people didn't understand. Why are they charging these people with femicide versus homicide? So for people who don't understand what femicide is, can you just give us a quick little rundown of femicide?
All right, femicide versus homicide. Femicide is, okay, so for instance, a woman could be in an accident and just get hit by a random car. They would not, they wouldn't investigate that as a femicide. That would be a homicide. But if you're killed just on the base of being a woman, because you are a woman, violently attacked, R-word, beaten, and things of that nature, that is femicide. It is the actual targeting of a female, which carries a higher penalty than regular homicide.
Okay, question. The actor, what you just said is the attack on a female, not because she is a female, but she is a female. If you understand what I'm saying, you're not attacking her because she's a woman, but because she's a woman and being attacked. That's femicide.
Yes. Also, a woman can commit femicide on another woman. A man can commit femicide on a woman. It's not just a man killing a woman. It can be a woman causing intent.
So it's an act of violence on a woman.
Yes.
Right.
Because that's different than
basically
you beating a woman, beating a person because they're a woman. So I just wanted to clarify that.
And there's a lot of protests going on right now. There's a movement, a women's movement going on where they're marching because of femicide over there, because the women feel like they're thrown away and they're not, like, if something happens to them, it's like, oh, well, you know. So they are definitely protesting over there. Before,
does it carry less charges, less sentencing?
More. And they say
it
that
carries more sentencing. And plus, on the other thing is femicide was mainly coined because of the way that so many women are brutally attacked around the world. Now, in the United States, we don't have a femicide. We just got homicide. But most other countries have femicide because it's the express attack on the woman. Now, it can't be just because, somebody got hit by a car or something like that. Right. But it's because they expressly attacked that person because they were a woman.
And they say that I'm sorry. They say that they spend more time on investigations too. I'm sorry.
And
what I know about femicide. What I was going to say
is the penalty. I was just going to say. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that in Mexico there's a rise in femicide, and so for some reason women are targeted in Mexico, and so they even have it so there's transits on the bus, transit systems where it's all female, and it's pretty sad that it's like that out there, but women are definitely targeted. I'm sure it's not just Mexico, but I looked up the stats in Mexico because of this case, and I can see why they charged this. It's interesting they charged it with femicide, but I'm wondering if there was enviousness or whatever going on with the friends. But I am glad they did use femicide since it is a harsher sentence. But that's all I was going to say.
I just wanted to ask this. I just heard this yesterday. Did any of you all hear that PPP loans were involved with this case? Because I just heard that yesterday for the first time. Now, I know it's a lot of false information going around, but they were saying about that Shanquella, had got some PPP loans, and the friends, they were involved with some different PPP loans. And I'm going to let the next person speak in just 1 second. But I want to say this. Soul Sister says, all I know, when I learned that my daughter is dead, I will be on the next plane and be there. That's not always possible. If you don't have a passport, I don't care how passionate you are of a parent. No country is going to let you in just because you're a grieving mother. You wouldn't be the first and you wouldn't be the last. At worst case scenario, you would need to go to your U.S. embassy and apply for an emergency visa. A passport. And even with that being said, because we are in COVID right now, you can't even just show up at the passport office in order to get a passport. My son was going to Cancun last year, and they were delaying sending his passport because his other passport had expired. So I had to end up taking him all the way out to Philly to the office that day. And even then, I didn't know if he was going to be able to leave there that day without a passport. So if you do not have a passport, you're not making it out of any country. And even if you make it into Mexico, which it's a lot easier to make it into Mexico, because to be honest, you can go and walk over the border and make it into Mexico. But can you make it in the United States of America? Absolutely, you cannot. So that's not going to happen. And if your child is in a place like Canada, and driving to Canada, Canada's not letting you in without a invitation and an itinerary. So it's not, sometimes passion and love is not enough for your children. So if your children are going to travel out of the country,
this is a learning curve. This should be a learning curve for any parent out here whose children do have who like to travel outside of the country because of work or to go out on vacation or whatever. Just for things like this, I believe that, you know, me as a mother, I would like to have a passport just in case things like this happen and I can get to my child, because that right there is a lot to take in as a mother, knowing that you couldn't even go over there if you wanted to.
Or at least a family representative. I mean, that for the family.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is, what I was going to say is, because they left there so quickly and they left her body there, that also is part of the reason why they are being charged for femicide, because also the video that's display and public torture, like Miss O said, invasion of privacy and things of that nature. So you also got to look at those things when they're investigating femicide, because it was a invasion of privacy. It was put on a video. It was dispensed out to different people. She was naked. And
they also FaceTime somebody during the time when they killed that girl. I don't know if y'all know that, but they have went back and looked on those phones, and they said that not only were they recording, they were also FaceTiming somebody. So that just shows you how disgusting and low down these people are. Now, just to answer Liz's question, as far as do you need a passport to cross the border? Technically, you should have a passport. But in retrospect, what happens is when you cross the border, they don't stop every person. Many people just walk over the border and it's not an issue. Like I said, the problem is not always the issue to cross Mexico. You drive into Mexico and it's, you know, certain cars, they put the red light on and then they'll stop you and ask you, you know, additional questions and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, too, they know that people also, you know, could be bringing in drugs or whatever else that they're doing. But they can stop you at any time and ask you questions. Getting into Mexico is not a huge issue. It is returning back into the United States of America. And that's because you can look like me, right? But guess what? You can be Jamaican. You can be African. You can be Dominican. You can be whatever. And see, what a lot of people do is they go into Hispanic, you know, countries with, you know, fake visas and things like that. And then what they do is they attempt to walk over into the USA. And then they'll say, well, I'm American, or I'm this, or I'm that, until they start asking them certain questions or whatever the case may be. I have a friend who actually got, and the reason why he knows how to speak Spanish is because he got locked up. You know what I'm saying? Trying to do some stuff coming from Jamaica, you know what I'm saying, into Mexico, and then trying to walk over into America. So if you watch any of those shows when they arrest different people, you know, trying to cross the border, they're not all Mexican. A lot of them come from way other different places, and it's an easier way to come in.
Did you see what Liz says, where she said nowadays if they stop you, they will ask you for your passports from San Diego? And that's one of the things I wanted to say. See, border towns are a little bit different, because like I lived in California. When I was stationed in California, we would drive down to San Diego and walk over into Tijuana. And I didn't have a passport then, but I had my military ID card. And then I would walk back. And every time we walk back, there will always be about 100 Mexicans at that time rushing the gate at the same time to cross the border. So yeah, I don't know.
I want to answer a question by Kay Bands in the chat, and then you guys can chime in. And then what I'm going to do is I want to get into the next story, because Shanquella is not the only person who has lost her life, you know, in Mexico. And I think that it's good that people are using social media to keep her story alive. I think if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be where we are right now. But I think, you know what I'm saying, if we're going to talk about her death, we also need to talk about some other people too, because there's a lot of grieving mothers and fathers out there. So Kay Band says, do you think it's more to the story than what they're putting out? And do you believe the so-called friends she was with? I don't believe anything that they have had to say. I believe it's more to the story than what we have put out. earlier someone was stating that they should have did a rape kit. I don't remember if that was Miss O or if that was misunderstood or Vivi. I'm not for sure, but I agreed that they should have done that because
they should have did a rape kit.
We don't know what's going on, and I'm going to say this: TC. If y'all know TC, I'm talking about TC HBIC, something like that.
Yeah,
the black psychologist. Yes, she believes that one of Shanquella's friends is transgender. Even though it has been stated that that's not the case, she says she needs to see receipts for it. She doesn't think that we should just be listening to what these people have to say. Now, during this show, once we go through this, we'll also talk about the reasons why you have to be careful traveling to Mexico, and not even just Mexico. Anytime you step outside of the United States of America, you know, I mean, actually, you can be an American, you still need to be safe. But if you step outside the country, you definitely need to be safe. So does anybody else think that there's more to this story than what they have put out here and made public?
Well, Shirley, right now they do have her listed as transgender in Mexico. And the lead attorney had to let the reporter in Mexico know that she is a female, because they were already planning to lock her up in the male side of the prison.
And the reason I'm hearing that they thought that is because I believe the maids saw her switching wigs, taking her wigs off and on, not understanding that, you know, Black people do wear lace fronts or whatever. So they were not familiar with that aspect. So that's why they thought that she was transgender. This is what I'm hearing. Right. There's so many stories. Right. This story has literally grew a ton of legs, and it's some things may be true, some things may not. And the point is, we need to hear from the people who were actually there and to corroborate the story to see what really happened. And that's the part that I think we're having an issue getting to, and we'll probably have an issue until they're all extradited back to Mexico.
Now, Jasmine says, I have mutual friends of people who know the friends, and that girl is not trans, to my knowledge. So, you know, I accepted once they said that she wasn't, but TC just says she's not buying it. She just thinks that they're, you know, not being completely honest. And I'll say that even with Gerald Jackson, and this is not for me to defame him or anybody else, because I don't want anybody to do it to me, but I heard some things about him too. Now, he's been the main spokesperson for the family, okay? For whatever reason, the family feels comfortable with him, right? But it's being said that he tried to extort money out of some people off in Mexico. So, like, these are some of the things that we're going to talk about, things that actually take place, like corruption and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I think that we shouldn't believe anybody attached to this story at this point. Now, the Hispanic reporter that's over there doing a lot of the commentary, I do wonder why he's so comfortable talking to other content creators. I think, I mean, that's just me. I don't know. It's a story this big. He's talking to what's that other something other Speaks her channel is. He's talking to all of these different people. And he don't even know English. So he's to translate it and turn it over, and it's just like, why?
It's so funny. It's like, to me, it really lets you understand the importance that the US of A and the feds are taking this case. They're not even taking the initiative to get to the bottom of this. It was the people that took the initiative and put the pressure onto them. They didn't take over this case. And you just said the key word. Why is he speaking to the public and not the federal government? I'm not understanding why he's not speaking to professionals.
Okay, so he is an investigative reporter, and I'm not even sure if he's out of Cabo San Lucas. I'm thinking that he's out of Cancun, but either way, he is an investigative reporter, and yeah, y'all, for all we know, them folks sending him a few pesos and he giving interviews.
That's exactly what he's doing. I'm glad you're giving him a nasty old piece of Cash App, and that's where he's making his money from. Because I'm like, this don't even make any sense whatsoever. None whatsoever.
Yeah, because every news clip we hear is so generic. They don't know anything. They know less than we know. That's
and this is the thing, like she said, he was on a lead attorney, and the lead attorney had to explain to him that's a bonnet on her head.
Yeah, he thought it was lingerie.
Girl,
because they were thinking that she went and put underwear on the girl's head when she was sleeping. The girl woke up and she snatched it off violently. He thought it was underwear. They thought it was underwear. The other thing is, you got to also think that young lady Dejanae has strong features. Many females don't have a cleft chin.
And
yeah,
her features was a little strong too. I'm
just saying
her features are a bit strong.
They said very tall, but yeah, that cleft chin does stand out. That is very rare to see in a female.
Now, Justice React says something which, I don't want to skip too far into the show, but I want to say this. Before people were talking about, the friends didn't have the money or whatever it was to pay. And I had heard some people say that, well, a hospital would not be able to deny them treatment. That is untrue. A lot of countries, healthcare is not a human right. It's not. Which means if you go to the hospital, your foot can profusely be bleeding, whatever can be going on, but that hospital doesn't have to treat you. They don't have to give you medication. You definitely ain't getting no MRI. You're definitely not getting no CAT scan, okay?
Your Blue Cross Blue Shield means
your Blue Cross.
You have to make sure you know what your insurance covers. There are some insurance that have coverage when you go out of the country.
And the best thing to get, if you're that worried about it, is travelers. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of people have said, well, why don't people get travelers insurance? If people were so easy to get travelers insurance, we wouldn't have to do GoFundMes every time somebody drops dead. Black people don't even have burial insurance, let alone, do you think that they're going to spend an extra couple dollars for travelers insurance? No, they don't have it. They don't do it. And when you go to other countries, understand that healthcare may not be a human right. And
Didn't they charge them just for them to come out to check her?
I'm sure they did. Yeah, the doctor was through the resort. And the person, I don't remember who said this earlier about the resort, being in the middle of nowhere. And that's what they do in a lot of resort towns. Right. They make sure that it's nothing nearby, because if it's anything nearby, then guess what? You don't need to go to the resort's bar and pay $25 for a Coca-Cola. You get what I'm saying? If you can go across the street and go to a convenience store or whatever. So they try to make sure that there are nothing there for you to do, so that you have to pay people to go on excursions and any of that other stuff. That is just the way that it's just the way that it's set up. So we're going to get into some more about her, but I want to go ahead, because we had an hour, and I want to go ahead and get into the friends. It was 3 friends who went to Mexico, and they died of carbon monoxide. Okay. So some people have heard about that story. Some people have not. Their families also had to try to spend a bunch of money to get their family members back over here. So I want to go ahead and play that really quick.
Teacher there died last weekend while on vacation in Mexico. And tonight, the mother of Cortez Hall desperately seeking answers in the death of her only son. His family says that he and 2 of his friends were found dead in their vacation rental home.
And now they are still waiting to learn about the circumstances surrounding the deaths, while also working to bring their bodies back home. WDSU News reporter Shay O'Connor joins us with the very latest on the situation. Shay?
Yeah, family tells me Cortez Hall was a 7th grade history teacher right here at KIPP in New Orleans East. Now, his mom, Ciola Hall, tells me she received the news on Monday, her birthday, when the U.S. Embassy called.
I don't know. It's hurting. It's a hurtful thing. I'm not getting any sleep. It's sleep off and on, waking up all through the night. And I think I'll just feel much better if he was just back home.
Ciola Hall and her children say it's an agonizing time as they wait for answers.
They don't know what happened to my child. They are under investigation with it. And that's all they can tell us.
Cortez Hall is a New Orleans native. We're told his two friends were from Virginia. Hall's mom says the group traveled to the capital city of Mexico for a short trip over the Halloween weekend. Now relatives are desperately trying to piece together just what happened to the trio. All they have right now are bits and pieces.
There was a male and a female. All three had gone over. And the female, she was able to contact her boyfriend to let him know that that she couldn't feel her legs. Her legs were numb. She couldn't move her legs. And she said, and she, kept throwing up.
And the family says it's been a real challenge getting Hall and his friends' bodies back to the United States.
When someone unfortunately passes abroad, it's a language barrier, and then it's not a lot of information that they give you over the phone.
I just found out Monday, and I feel like as of Monday we haven't gotten to nowhere.
The hope for the Hall family to find out exactly what happened to the guy they say had a love for history, music, traveling, and his family, and to get him home for a proper burial. His mom had a message for other parents in the hopes that this won't happen to anyone else's child.
Parents, please talk to your children. Please, when they are going out of the United States, please talk to them. Let them know that they need to be aware of what could happen.
Now, as you can imagine, teachers, staff, and students here at KIPP all devastated at the loss of their beloved teacher. Now, we did reach out to the U.S. Embassy on the situation. They sent us a statement that reads in part, "We can confirm the death of 3 U.S. citizens in Mexico. We're closely monitoring local authorities' investigation into the cause of death. We stand ready to provide all appropriate assistance. Out of respect for the privacy of the families, we have nothing further to add at this time." We also reached out to the owners of the home where I'm told the group was renting from. At this time, we have not heard back.
All right, now listen. I know many people have heard about this group who went there and lost their life, but I haven't heard too many people talk about this other story. Now, what people don't know about this other story dealing with carbon monoxide is that it happened the same week as these 3 Black people lost their life. Check out what happened to these 3 siblings. These are 3 siblings. And initially I had thought that all 3 of them had lost their life. 1 lost their life and 2 are in ICU. Now they're not Black. I don't want to hear about it because when y'all get ready, y'all say that I'm not Black. But you know what I'm saying? The problem is that I'm about to go somewhere else, but I've been drinking this truth wine and having a couple of these truth pills. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell it. If I was over here cussing out misunderstood, it wouldn't be 38 motherfuckers up in there. I'm not calling y'all motherfuckers, but it wouldn't be 38 people up in here. It'd be at least 500-600 people up in here if I was cussing out misunderstood. If I was cussing out Miss Dio, it'd be about 500-600 people up in here. But we all up on the panel together talking about our people because our people matter and ain't nobody here. But y'all want to convince me to care or think that y'all pro-Black. Get the fuck out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about these other people, this Asian people, okay? I don't want to hear nothing about y'all being pro-Black because when it's time to show up for things that matter, y'all don't show up.
So when you rent a nice place, you don't expect not to wake up next day.
A campaign underway in the South Bay to help a family whose vacation to Mexico City ended in tragedy as siblings slept. As ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen tells us, the oldest of those siblings would not wake up.
This is a photo of the 3 Arce siblings last Friday afternoon smiling as they watched a Formula One practice run in Mexico City. Family friend and Chula Vista resident Carla Escalante
They went to have a good time and end up in the nightmare.
The three siblings who live in Tijuana and LA had just started their vacation when they went to sleep in a vacation rental in the central part of the city. Andrea and Murd𝖊rs spoke to us via Zoom.
Vomited, actually. And I felt really dizzy.
After a few hours at their rental, they started to feel sluggish. The next day, Andrea and her sister Angelica went to a doctor and were treated for heat exhaustion. That night, back at the apartment, the three went to sleep when Marco woke up, a horrifying discovery.
I licked her hair and she was all purple. So, and I was very scared.
29-year-old Angelica was dead. Marco and Andrea hospitalized for 4 days in critical condition from carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's sad. It's sad. It just breaks my heart.
Escalante starting a fundraiser to help with their funeral and medical expenses. Donations pouring in.
A lot of strangers, very good, kind-hearted people.
Escalante says she and the family also hope to raise awareness of the dangers of carbon monoxide and vacation rentals. According to the CDC, every year at least 430 people die in the U.S. from accidental carbon monoxide poisoning. Numbers aren't kept for vacation rentals, but from news accounts, some vacations have turned tragic, including more than 12 deaths in 2019. In general, while short-term rental companies will encourage hosts to put in carbon monoxide detectors, they aren't required unless mandated by local laws. While Mexico has encouraged landlords to install the detectors, it is not mandated. Escalante and the family say that has to change.
So when you rent a nice place, you don't expect not to wake up next day.
Because this can't happen anymore.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
In July, Mexico began partnering with Airbnb to offer free smoke and carbon monoxide detectors to hosts. Experts suggest anyone renting a vacation rental bring their own carbon monoxide detector.
Now, Nicole is correct. Bring one with you. I just try to drop a link for one in the chat, but for some reason it had this huge long link to what I was trying to share. You can get one on Amazon for under $20. I mean, literally, they have some for $15.90. That's the one that I was going to share. And if you don't have an extra $20 while you're traveling, you need to stay your ass at home. Period.
Will they let you bring that on the plane?
Absolutely.
Are you allowed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You want to put it in your checked luggage. You know what I'm saying? You don't really ever want to have something like that in your carry-on. Not that it really should cause the issues, but if you want to get if you're like me, you just want to hurry up and get through the line. You don't want anything really holding you up. So just put that in your checked baggage. It's just not worth it. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, in other countries outside the U.S., Airbnbs are not required to have to make the host have carbon monoxide detectors. I can honestly say that even when I lived in Jamaica, and this is sad to think about it because so many people die in house fires in Jamaica. I didn't even have a smoke detector in my house in Jamaica. And I've stayed in many hotels in Jamaica. And I thought back about it, like with her death, I thought back, how many places have I stayed that didn't have, I was thinking carbon monoxide detector, but I've never seen one ever. I've never seen one. And then when I thought about it and I said, you know what? They don't even have smoke detectors. You know what I mean? So you be aware of the place where you're going. Don't just look at the house that has the big pool outside where you can go take pictures and post them up on Instagram. Because see, I think that's what a lot of times people are looking at. What's going to look good on pictures? How can I go stun on my friends? But at the end of the day, you can't stun on nobody if you did. I'm going to go on mute.
Well, Shelly, also you got to think about this. When you're talking about these Airbnbs, villas, and things of that nature, they don't have the same guidelines, rules, and regulations as we do here in the United States, which means we don't know how old their equipment is when we're going. Even here in the United States, when you go to stay in somebody's house in these Airbnbs, you really don't know when the last time they maintenance their equipment. Just because they say they got a new roof, that don't mean you're going to and you see a nice picture. That don't mean when you get there, it's going to be exactly what you pay for. You get what I'm saying? And so what's happening is these people are going to these villas and these places. They have faulty equipment. They're getting Juan Carlos down the street to come patch up the work and do the handiwork. And Juan Carlos ain't certified in electricity, heat, air, duct work, or things of that nature, hooking up water heaters and things of that nature. We're finding places where there are tourists that are going into Mexico, into some of these villas and things of that nature, and their hot water heaters are blowing up and things of that nature.
And Viv, you're not telling no lie, because when I think about it, when I lived in Jamaica, I never once ever have I ever paid anybody that had a certificate, had even a working a work van. Okay, and they was doing all kind of work, electric work, roofing work, and you just don't know. Like, don't go there under the presumption that it's going to be like the Airbnb down the street from your house, because you just don't know.
Well, you can't even make that presumption here in the United States, Shelly, because you got to think about it. You got Uncle Ray Ray and Cousin Pookie, who just because they built a deck on the back of your house and they told you they can go put some lights up. Now they went and put the lights up, but guess what? They didn't tell you that. Guess what? It's fried wires up there. And that your house is going to burn down or has the possibility of burning down.
Right. So what I want to do is I want to talk about one other person who lost their life. Now, everybody that we talked about so far, these people have died in the last, 30 days, within the last month. All three of the Black friends who went to go visit were from NOLA. The other people that we just played, and then also another lady lost her life that was from Virginia Beach with carbon monoxide. So it's all of these people. I just don't think that this stuff is happening by coincidence, and I still don't believe that we're hearing about all the cases of things that came up. Now, this teacher lost her life down in Mexico. And like I said, all of the stories we're telling you about today have all happened in the last 30 days. And if we're hearing about it here on the news, then what is it else that we don't know anything about? How many Shanquellas are there that the news hasn't covered?
5, a Gwinnett County teacher reported missing in late October, has now been found dead in Mexico, according to family and friends. Alexandra Morales was a first-grade teacher at Benfield Elementary, and tonight police are still trying to figure out what happened to her. Our Paula Sura spoke with Morales' former classmate and the parent of a former student.
Alexandra Morales' friend tells me she spoke to her not too long ago, and the 24-year-old told her she was looking forward to visiting her family in Mexico and going to a concert. Her friend says she was last seen at that concert on October 30th and was then found dead just yesterday.
Never would have thought she was going to be dead. You don't expect that.
Before Morales' body was found, Jessica Otero shared these missing posters for a week and a half, wondering where her former classmate had gone.
Concert she was going to, because she had been posting about it, but I didn't know anything about why she would. It's just, I don't know. I'm still in shock. It's sad.
Morales was a first-grade teacher at Benfield Elementary School.
He's a little upset, I'm sorry.
Destiny Porter's son, 9-year-old Greg, was one of her former students.
She was nice and kind, and she would bring us surprises. She would bring us candy or snacks.
In a letter sent to parents Tuesday, the principal said Morales had taken planned personal leave but did not come back last week as scheduled. She added that police are investigating her disappearance from her last known location in Guadalajara, Mexico.
It's never easy finding out, somebody in your school community that has passed away, especially if they were a part of your children's lives. I don't think it's really set in yet. They haven't known for very long.
Those who knew Morales say they will remember her kindness and patience. And while she did not have kids herself, they say she loved her students as if they were her own.
I was very, very shy. I didn't know anybody, and she was the first one to say, "Hi, how are you?" Super sweet girl.
The district tells 11 Alive the school is caring for its teachers and students who are grieving. We've reached out to the Mexican consulate and police in Guadalajara for more information, but have not heard back yet. We'll keep you updated on air and on 11alive.com.
Girl, this shit is hilarious, girl.
Can
the
I
heck
share
was that?
what's in the back of my mind?
With the
It's a
lady
lot.
who, the teacher?
Yeah, it's just a lot that's happening around, and I'm going back to, and that's why I mentioned it before.
Okay, I'm
There
gonna
are some.
let you go. I'm gonna let you go on that in 2 seconds. Let me just give them just a
Okay.
little bit of back story, just real quick. So, as far
Okay.
as the teacher who lost her life, first she went missing. Okay, so she was missing. Once her body had been dumped in a river. Okay, so what happened is she went to Mexico for a concert. A lot of people who live near borders, like Vivian talked about earlier, they would just walk or whatever like that. So there are a lot of people who are close to borders who frequent Mexico a lot. So she went to a concert with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's name is Fidel Baran, something like that. He ended up killing her and dumping her in a river. Now, what I want to bring to your attention is the fact of this: nobody had to threaten anybody or boycott anybody for this lady here to receive justice. And we know she's not white either, you know what I'm saying? But she's also not black. And so even though often we talk about, black and brown people, but there's definitely a shift when it comes to even black and brown people. We are the bottom of the totem pole. We don't matter, okay? So her boyfriend is in prison. Her family will end up getting justice at some point, even though I don't think that any country is really going to give the type of justice and the type of sentences that we give here in the United States. There was a story that I was following heavy that happened in Jamaica. A girl had her cousin come stay with her, her boy cousin, okay, staying there with her for free or whatever. He said he felt like she started moving funny. Her children had started acting weird towards him. They didn't really want to speak to him anymore. She snatched something out of his hand in front of a customer or whatever. He then went and killed his cousin, okay? And then went and killed all of her children, okay? She had 4 girls, all under the ages of 18 and a baby that wasn't even 2 years old. And do you know what his sentence was? 61 years, and everybody in Jamaica was celebrating, talking about we got justice. What fucking type of justice is 61 years for taking 5 fucking lives? And yet this boy can leave the jail to go do this and leave the jail to go do that, and people can bring him outside food and bring him phones and stuff like that into the prison. Make that make sense, because that's not no type of fucking justice. So I'm here to tell you that, and this is what I believe in my heart, that when it comes to Shanquella, right, we will get some form of justice, but that's just to shut us the fuck up. We'll never know if whoever gets sentenced for her murder is going to have to serve every day of that. We don't know if they're going to give them a 50-year sentence, but they're only going to serve 10 fucking years or 5 years. We don't know if, what's her name? Dejanay or whatever. We don't know if her family is going to send some fucking pesos down to fucking Mexico. Oh, my mic is messing up.
It's better now, Shelly.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was on one.
It's boring a little. It's a little boring.
Okay, I'll leave out and come back in. Y'all go ahead. Somebody else take this over. I'll be back.
But one thing we got to realize in reference to going to these different countries.
Okay, it's still boring.
No, she's gone. She's gone. Who's boarding now? Okay, so we got to realize when they're going to these different countries that
we can hear you.
That you have many people that are paying off different officials and things of that nature. So there's a lot of corruption going on within just the different people. What do you guys think in reference to that? In reference to the corruption and in reference to different people being paid off?
Yeah, that's what King Romer had discovered, like in the Evening Shanquella's case, that it's so much stuff, because there are even rumors that the Mexican officials or whatever, took money from her and, maybe has done some things with a credit card or whatever, and all that corruption. You never know, they could be paid off, and also you don't even know what kind of facility they have, or because they determined in one area it was just one medical examiner for this whole area, and he was known to be able to be taking payouts and overworked and things like that. So I mean, it's just, and a lot of these countries where they can come up on a lick, but based on Americans, we are looked at like that in a lot of places as like coming up on one, and and people will do a lot of things to eat. So
just like they often kidnap. They had another man over there. You guys can check the story out or look it up on YouTube. This happened in the last month as well. They went and chopped that man's leg and did all other kind of stuff, because in most countries, we're more valuable if we're alive. And to be honest, not only has my money been funny for what I've been trying to do to help out others, but 2 people I know have gotten kidnapped in Jamaica, okay? And when they get kidnapped, guess what happens? Everybody got to start sending money. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to kill you. You ain't worth nothing to them dead. It's all about getting ransom and things like that. So it was another American tourist that was over there, and this happened in the last 30 days, and he was kidnapped, for ransom and all that other kind of stuff. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And I was just telling you.
We should also note that the officials are under investigation as well too. That doctor, and I believe the police officer is under investigation as well.
Yeah, I mentioned the organ harvesting.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Can I speak on that now?
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, if it comes out that because they just did that big roundup in New Jersey with the 17, I want to say the majority of them were rabbis. And part of the charges had to do with organ trafficking. And that is a big issue that is happening now with the organ harvesting, as someone just brought up. And it's just, to me, it's just very, I don't know. To me, it's just, we're living in a time right now where the economy worldwide, globally, is not doing well. So as you said before, Shelly, anybody, pretty much, they're willing to do anything to get a lick. So I don't want to say what the organization is, but whatever their organization is in Mexico, I wouldn't be surprised if that's not a part of how they make money. Because from my understanding, they may get, 10,000 for a kidney and then turn around and charge the patient $160,000. So just think about the profit off of that one kidney, and what people have to gain with that. So
yeah, I agree with that. And I just want to say welcome to everybody in the chat. I appreciate everybody for being here. Also want to let my moderators know, if anybody comes in here and disrespects anybody in the chat, and I said that with, even with S-Child, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable, any disrespect towards my panel guests or in my chat, take them up out of here. And that's just that. We don't do that over here, okay? So, and I hope that I sound better. There's another story that I did not too long ago on a police officer that was traveling back and forth Jamaica and drugs, and actually her name is Shelly. So it's funny, the little nicknames that they came up with her. And a lot of countries where minimum wage is not a whole lot, they don't make a whole lot of money. Even as a police officer would think that that's a high paying job, but in many countries, corruption pays more. And it's not uncommon to get pulled over, in another country and just hand the officer some money. It's common practice for them to even lock people up.
Shelley, that's still in some of these backwoods towns.
Well, that is true, but I mean, it's a daily, everyday thing. It's not uncommon to see it. Like, they'll take away things from people who are street vendors, and then you're not arresting them, but you're basically giving them a fine for doing something that's illegal. But with them, they'll be like, I can take this and tear it up, or you can give me this amount or less than that. You know what I mean? So they go ahead and pocket the money, and then they charge them another amount to get back their items. So there's so much corruption, and that's one of the other things that we wanted to talk about tonight, because like I said, you know, there are things that happen in the US, like Viv said, you know what I mean? But when you go out of the country, you have to worry about corruption. Any of those people who took this lady's life, they could pay a judge, they could pay lawyers, they could pay a lot of people to do a lot of things. And even on the inside, they can pay for to get better treatment, to get better meals, to get outside meals. I mean, it goes. No, I mean, you know, money rules the world, and that's just what it is. Now,
Shells, you're Borgin, baby.
I'm working. Okay. All right.
Does anybody know if there be any charges for the deaths in the carbon monoxide poisoning over there in Mexico?
I haven't seen anything in reference to they're charging anyone. It's just poor maintenance in the housing of the house. And that is what I was saying earlier in reference to a lot of these Airbnbs and things of that nature. Their maintenance is not as, they don't have as higher standards when it comes to maintenance and things of that nature as we do here in the States. And that's where you gotta be careful.
And there were Airbnbs as well, so I don't know.
So I thought she was talking about the four American tourists, where there's 3 blacks that died, 1 Mexican, and Angelica that passed away. And I just think, wow, to be in another country, lose your life, you already have to go through the barriers of trying to get that body back to the United States, and then no justice on top of it. That's insane.
And in reference to, you got to also think about where we were talking about getting the bodies back to the United States. There is a language barrier that you have to contend with. If you don't understand the language, you can't. It's harder for you to, and you don't have anybody on the ground there helping you that speaks that language. You're not. It makes it harder, 10 times harder.
Shanquella's father mentioned that, and he said that he was lucky enough to run into somebody who was very helpful, but there was a language barrier.
Right. So you have, and just let me know when I'm talking again, if I'm sounding bad again. If so, maybe I'll come through on my phone. Good. Okay, thank you. So yeah, you have all of those things against you. So you have that, and then what I think is pretty disgusting too. I've seen a lot of people bash Shanquella's father. Now I hope that none of those channels start to do things like you know how when they want to say like somebody sacrificed somebody or whatever. You know, these are real people who have real family members who are mourning. We can't tell people how to grieve. Everybody grieves differently. Some people are in shock. They don't even believe that it really happened. You know what I'm saying? Like when I lost I was in such a low spot that I literally told myself, if anybody ever passes again, and if I react the way I'm reacting now, I ain't gonna make it. I ain't gonna make it. I ain't gonna make it. Okay. And then when my brother passed away, I was in disbelief because wait a minute, I just lost my nephew. Now this is his father, and now he's gone. Let me tell you, it took me at least up until this happened. Okay, so like April, I say it took about seven months for me to really break down because I've been a zombie. You don't know what that man is thinking. You don't know what's on his mind. And it's like, well, damn, this is a black man who lost his daughter, his only child. Okay. And then his only child being a daughter. And then it happens while she's out of the country. So then it's even more not real because you're not seeing a body. You know what I'm saying? You're. So how do we do that though? Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't know what that man is going through. I'm just tired of people saying disgusting stuff about her father. Now we will talk about her disgusting ex-boyfriend, okay? Because the person that has been going around doing interviews saying that he is her boyfriend is not her boyfriend. This is an ex-boyfriend. who decided to go do a photo outside her grave, taking pictures, and has been going around like, even if you want a little clout, even if you want a little attention, this is not how you go about and get it. So if you look at the pictures of him out by the grave, his dreads are much longer. But if you see the pictures from the time that they were together, his hair was up shorter. So this is a boyfriend. I think they said they hadn't even been in communication in maybe like a year or something. So I mean, he could have still been a grieving ex-boyfriend, but you ain't had to come on here and lie and act like that was your woman. And you know what I'm saying? Like, people are being disgusting, and that's why I don't put anything past this Gerald person. Now, I'm not going. He could be doing a great thing. He may just be connected with the family and try to help them out. But there's also been rumors not only that he tried to extort money from somebody. There are also rumors that he is connected with the family in a very personal way, meaning was either dating her or dating somebody in their family. So, I mean, I don't know. It could just be one of those things, because earlier, this story has grown so many legs. But I just think that we also have a responsibility to come through and be honest with our viewers on, you know what I mean, if we are connected with somebody, or why we decided to take the case up, or whatever the situation is. Now, I don't know if the extortion is true or not. I haven't heard him address it. And I would think in a situation like this, maybe he would want to address it, but maybe he doesn't want to give people clout by responding to things that are not true. So I hope that he is helping the family for the right reasons. And I hope that he's not doing anything on his end to say, well, hey, give me this amount of money and I'll do this or that, because that's not a good look either. So I'm going to go on mute.
We as content creators, we have to be very responsible and selective of what we say and put out there in the atmosphere. That's why I've been kind of choosing my words very carefully, because I don't want anything to be, because we also got to remember the family, they look at this, they see this, they see what's being said. They see all the rumors. They see all the conjecture. They see all of the theories. So I just ask that when we deal with these things, we as content creators be mindful of what we say and do and what we put out there into the atmosphere.
And somebody went as far as to create an Instagram page in her mother's name. And her mother was, her mother stated that she hasn't posted anything. Her page is private and she hasn't posted anything in a long time. So that was really low down too.
Yeah, I think she said like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Child, they said that somebody even went and set up a page in the name of Shanquella and was posting things as though she was still here. But let's be honest, we all in pretty much, if you're familiar with the beef sector or in the beef sector, we all know that Lady P lost her life, and people still went and created a channel under Lady P and dropped down in chats saying all kind of stuff. So we already know that some people don't have any nothing about themselves. And a lot of people, what I've learned is that a lot of people do not believe in a higher power. And because they really truly don't believe in one, they feel that there's no accountability that will be held against them on Judgment Day. I digress. I've been preaching enough today. I'm just saying, so people are disgusting, and they have been, you know, saying a lot of stuff. And these family members do read this stuff. And that's why I felt like even with Takeoff, yes, he was a celebrity, but he was still somebody's son. So the things that people started saying about, you know, Quavo or Offset or Cardi B, and I'm like, these people for the rest of their life, these videos are going to be on the internet. You know, they may just want to go mind their business and look for something else. But then to the right or to the left, they got to watch their family member bleeding out on the ground because some content creator felt it was more important to get clicks and views than to have some type of, you know, compassion as a human being for our fellow brother or sister. But again, like I said, as people of color, we tend to not treat each other well, and then we get mad when company doesn't treat us well, we continue to disrespect each other in the presence of other people. What shall outsiders do to us?
And did you see the?
And Shells, I think that's a great point. I just feel like there's a lack of humanity.
Yes.
And I was, I spoke on that briefly today. A reason why I just, want to pull back. Not saying that I'm still not going to do my own thing, but I just can't be in alignment with, because I do believe in the Most High. I can't be in alignment with what's, right and what I see going on, and, just what I see people engaging in. It's just not. It's disturbing my spirit. That's the best way I can put it. And to hear that, I didn't know they did that with that lady's channel. To hear that, it's just people who just they lack empathy, especially when we talk about, the deceased.
Yeah, I felt uneasy, disturbed when I was thinking it was her funeral. You probably have seen it. There were channels that had pictures of people at a funeral, that it wasn't her funeral, just saying Shanquella's funeral. So I click on it, and it was like not even a funeral. They just wanted people to click on their video.
You know, the problem that I have with that is a lot of people, like, I'm gonna say this, a lot of people will make, and I'm just gonna bring this back to the LGBT, right? A lot of people, they'll say that they're against, people who are homophobic, right? But if people are homophobic, and if those videos are being made, and if they're allowed to stay up, then it's not the content creator that's homophobic. It's the audience that's watching this homophobic. Because if they had an issue with anything that they were seeing or hearing, those videos would not be able to. Because when I come over here and talk my shit and people don't like it, it ain't nothing but this. Many of my videos have gotten removed. Because why? People didn't like what I had to say. So when people listen to this type of stuff and they don't flag it, it's because they like it too. And they're happy that that person is being that voice for foolishness. So I look at the people who continue to subscribe to those channels who are doing clickbait, trolling, whatever you want to call it. And I think trolling is another word that we need to get out of our vocabulary, because I can't understand any grown ass adult that's over 21 years old talking about that they're fucking trolling in their spare time. We're all humans. Who the fuck is out here trolling? I'm confused, So those channels and those videos need to be flagged down. People who are doing stuff like that. Like, how many times did they keep on making videos saying that reacts to this? Quavo confesses he killed so-and-so. And then you click on the video and it's some interview from 7 years ago.
Right.
That's why I was gonna mention the gift and curse of social media. My radio did a thing on that today, and she was like, with Takeoff, we don't want to see, we always outraged because people are still putting people's dead loved ones on the thing. She said, but if we hadn't seen the video on Shanquella, we wouldn't have got all of this keyboard journalists and people regular YouTubers pushing, writing letters, like, campaigning, tagging, spamming. And then the mom actually went, and actually as herself and thanks pretty much quote unquote Black Twitter for all their efforts. And they were so moved because even celebrities and even nobody ever has came and done that. And so she actually acknowledged the internet. And so it's like it's a gift and a curse, because we needed that footage, but then we don't need Takeoff's footage. But in a way, maybe you do, because the police, if they had a vested interest, which I'll leave that alone because that's Jay Prince business. But if they had a vested interest in that, it's so much corruption in the regular, police precincts here in America, let alone, the Fifth Ward is more corrupt probably than a lot of Mexican countries. But I'm just saying, though, it's like a gift and a curse. So it's like you weigh it, like, do you want people to not do the footage? Do you want, that's a hard thing, because social media is what's going to get her some form of justice.
You know what? You made a very good point. I just want to say that you made a very good point. And that's why when I decided to do this topic, I really wanted to have you over here and talk about it, because you really make some really, really good points. And I think that's so true, because even with that, and that's why I don't even understand why really in jail for his murder, because we all watched it. You know what I'm saying? So, and if it wasn't for those videos, if it wasn't for people live streaming, they wouldn't have absolutely anything at all to work on. And that is the difference, you know, social media. And if we actually come together on a regular basis like we should, we are some powerful ass motherfuckers. And if we just realize our power, we will realize that we can all eat. We don't have to starve the next person. It is enough money for us to all eat.
Can I add something on top of what Demon Soul was saying?
Sharine, I want you to go ahead, Sharine.
Okay, you want me to address this comment? Is it they are not the real Hebrews, but let me shut up? Is that the comment?
Yeah, I didn't know who she was talking about, but yeah, you want to go ahead and address that one?
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. DC the Purple Diva, I believe you are probably discussing what's happening with Kyrie Irving and with Kanye West recently here, but has happened to Nick Cannon, Whitney Houston, and others in the past when we speak out as people that are melanated. They say that it is anti-Semitic. So that is a big situation that's brewing now. Anybody that's starting to stick up for Kyrie or Kanye, they're being called hate groups now. Everything is anti-Semitic, but pretty much with the exposure that we're getting now, and hopefully this is even waking me up, and that's why I said, you know, I'm trying to do better in my life. We're waking up and finding out who we are truly as Black people and melanated, because we've all mixed as well too in this country. And the people that have been claiming our heritage have benefited from that. And unfortunately, Kanye has finally broke free. And I'm so happy that there is someone that, and I hope he can withstand all of the hits that he's going to take financially and also the pressure. But it's good just to see one of us to break free from that. And hopefully more of us will wake up and support him and Kyrie and other people. Because when you know your true history, you will understand that who the true tribes are. And that's something else that I guess can be discussed at another time. But DC Purple, I'm studying that heavily right now. And I am following Ronald Dalton Jr., who wrote the book and also did the documentary about from Negroes, from Hebrews to Negroes. So.
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, when we stand together, we're some powerful people, and we can really make a lot of things change if we just stand together. So, and I mean, it's okay to do a little mess here and there, but like I said, there are a lot of women out here, men out here that's losing their lives, and we can add a little bit of this in the mix of this other mess. But now here's another thing I want to discuss. BBNice, because one of the things I talked about earlier was you need to know where you're going. You know, when you go in Rome, you do as the Romans do. So for those who are, you know, in the LGBT, I don't know if they even bother to even look at the country that they're going to see, is this the LGBT friendly, you know, country that I'm visiting. One of my content creators that I support, she's in the LGBT. I just saw her and her girlfriend. They just went to a couple Caribbean destinations recently. They were on a cruise ship, but nevertheless, you know, they were there. So with homosexuality, BB, could you give us the background on how many countries are there where homosexuality is illegal? I do know that there's 13 countries where being gay is legally punishable by death. So that's 13 countries. But how many countries are there where homosexuality is actually illegal?
So, Shelly, that question is such a broad question, and I couldn't really narrow it down to just 13. When I started doing my research, there were so many. So I'll just give you like the window. I do want to let everybody know, if they want to find out more about the different countries that where homosexuality is illegal, they can go to the IGLTA Foundation, which is the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association, and it empowers the LGBTQ plus community and welcoming traveling businesses globally through leadership. So when I went on to do my research, again, I found so many, so I'll just break it down to a couple. I went to Wiki Voyage, that's the LGBT travel, and I found out in Africa, there is where this is illegal, homosexuality is illegal. In Africa is Algeria, Benin, Burundi, Chad, Egypt, Ethiopia, Morocco, Nigeria. For males only, because they do break it down, because they don't really, it's illegal, but they don't really prosecute women as much as males, especially in Kenya, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, and Uganda. Then you have Asia and Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Brunei. Then you have Central and South America, Barbados, St. Vincent, and for the males in those certain in Central and South America, Guyana, Jamaica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. I'm sorry. It is definitely illegal. It is also, I found out, illegal to have anal sexual sex for any gender in Dominica. And so they carry life sentences and the death penalty. Some countries have some problems, like for instance, in the Cayman Islands, 2008, there were 2 men that was caught kissing, and one was arrested by an off-duty officer just for public offense. It was just being homophobic. It wasn't that it was against the law, but they had the right to just pull you over. I then went to the travel information and the things that you need to know as a transgender to update your passport. People don't know you have to change your name only, and then they have a website to see, change or correct a passport. You have to select the gender marker on your passport, and then they also have a C selecting gender marker on your page. These things are important when you are traveling in the LGBTQIA community. As of April 11th, 2022, the U.S. citizens can select an X as their gender marker on their U.S. passport application. While in the United States government issues passport with the X gender, it cannot guarantee your X gender marker. Before you travel, check the foreign embassy and consulate of the United States for more information on that. The last thing I did want to go over is I went on a website called Asher and Lyric. And as when you're in the LGBT and you're traveling, you should consider these questions before traveling abroad. 1, do you feel comfortable closeting yourself when it's necessary? 2, do you pass? Meaning, if you are transgender male into a female, can they look at you and tell that do you pass? 3, what are the laws and public opinions of the country that you are visiting? 4, how can you reach out to local LGBT communities there wherever you're going? 5, are you traveling as a couple? 6, what are the bathrooms? Where are the bathrooms? How are they? Can you use them? These are basic things, but very important things. as being in the LGBTQ that you really need to look at before traveling? Can you use explicit LGBT friendly products and services? And are you planning to travel with condoms, sex toys, or other explicit materials? Diligent research is key. Knowing the rules. Seek out support. Stay aware of your surroundings and pay attention to local customs. Again,
Okay.
Yeah.
Just tell me if I'm breaking up. Just pause right where you at just for a second. Do I sound okay?
You sound clear.
Okay, thank you. Let me give y'all an example of something she just said on that list. She said sex toys. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I did a little vacation. I throw little things in a bag, but I don't travel with no sex toys all like that. But even then, I'm a little skeptical traveling to Jamaica with certain things, because if y'all don't know, do y'all remember when young Ma had traveled to Jamaica and she ended up getting locked up because she had a strap? Okay, so also too, let me add, like, one of the places on the list that she named was Jamaica, and the reason why it's hard for her to figure out exactly every country where it was legal and not legal, because in some countries it's not actually a crime to be gay per se. It's the act of homosexual sex, you know, or same-sex sex.
It's the PDA, the public affection. Yeah,
right.
That's very key. And even though a lot of countries may be LGBT friendly, does not mean that it's legal, and you have to really understand that.
Right. And if you travel to those countries, you're going to be charged by those countries' law. It's not going to vary just because, you know, in America, I can travel and have a vape in my purse and nobody's going to bother me. Look at Brittany. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful. And sometimes and I'm going to tell you this, when it comes to, like, okay, if young mom would have probably had, I don't know, something else that you're not allowed to travel with, you know, I'm just saying like a plant or something, I don't know, they probably wouldn't even have been as harsh, because if she was any other celebrity, she has money. But because she's a lesbian and she's going there and then she's having a sex a toy, or however you want to, you know, classify it, to them, they're already disgusted with the whole situation. So your money's not going to impress them. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. In most countries, they're not as hard on women as they are men that are same sex. I've seen some things with my own eyes. There was some men that moved in they call it scheme, which is basically just neighborhood. And it was a whole house full of men. And I don't even think anyone had proof that those men were gay. But for whatever reason, they said they saw too many young boys coming over there, whatever. They ended up stoning that entire house. And when I tell you they ended up moving out in the middle of the night, do you think the police intervened? Do you think the police cared? No, because the police is thinking that they are that way. And so they're not going to get involved in it. There was another time I saw a guy that was dressed in like female clothes, but he seemed like he was, I don't know, maybe homeless too at the same time, because a lot of their parents, you know, kicked them out. And when the guy found out that that was really a guy, he like threw him out on the middle of the street. And I remember the people in town trying to beat the person and everything like that. And so the police, they weren't them, because I think they would have really killed them that day. But I think even with the police, they were just more so like smacking the person upside their head and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of stuff there, and it's like Adrian Expression, his parents are Jamaican, but when he goes to Jamaica, do you think Adrian Expression is showing up in them little booty shorts and half cut shirts when he going with his family to Jamaica? I don't think so. I'm just saying.
That's interesting. And what I find interesting, you know, a lot of these laws regarding homosexuality, those are from the colonial times. And so they originate from the colonial times, and we're still going by that. I don't know if you guys remember the 2 Cameroonians that was transgender, and they got sentenced to about 5 years for attempted homosexuality. And there's still 69 countries where, as we were saying before, that there's laws against homosexual activities, and more than half of them are African countries. So yeah, you leave the United States, you really got to know the laws.
It's so many. It's so many. I really took a portion of the list of countries that is truly illegal and it's punishable by that. It's not you don't get years, you get life sentence or death. And it's so many. You just have to, if you are in the community, it's important that you really, really do. We already have to do research just because you're from the US going out the country, but you have to double, maybe triple that if you're in the community.
Yeah, and the appeals were rejected. They tried to revise some of the laws, rejected, for the long sentences and things like that. So, and don't be in a country like Saudi Arabia and get found.
Yeah.
Almost like with that kind of material or anything like that. Yeah.
You just really, and I just, you really, the questions that I say you should ask yourself, the one that stood out to me the most was, are you willing to display this out in public, or are you willing to just go into hiding when you're going to these other countries? That stood out to me the most, because you truly have to watch. You can just be holding the same sex hand and they can deem that as being illegal. So
yeah, and don't forget your phone. They can check your phone a lot. They can go through your phone. A lot of people are convicted that way, thinking, "Oh, I don't have to hand over my phone." Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes.
And they can do it.
The other thing you have to watch out for when you go to these other countries, you got to watch out for being set up. The police don't operate, again, the way our police do. You have a lot of people that go out of town and they try to get in contact with people through Tinder and these other dating websites, and they are set up in that fashion. So you also must be very conscientious when you're doing things of that nature and not get set up in certain things. So don't be out there in the street, trying to, solicit people that might or might not be.
Right. And this is another thing too, like, one of the things that I put on here, because, we talked about the LGBT, we talked about that, if you are in the community, making sure that it's a safe place for you to be. But also, and I said this a little bit earlier, if you don't have the money to travel, stay at home. We as a people also have to learn with financial literacy. You know what I mean? There are so many people who are still going to check cash in places and paying crazy amounts of money versus getting a bank account, which could be free to them. We still have people, and this is nothing against anybody who may, this may be your situation, but we have a lot of people who have CashApp cards, but it's not set to their bank account. They don't know what to do if they can't use the CashApp card. You know what I mean? It's just so many things that our people have to work on. Financial literacy. We also cannot just travel with enough money for our airline ticket and our hotel. What happens if your flight is delayed or something like that? What happens if you miss your flight? Do you have enough money to buy another airline ticket? If there's an emergency and there's something going on with your roommates or whatever, which to me personally, I don't advise that anybody try a room with other people. I think that there's been times where I've shared rooms with people, but most of the time it has always been because they can afford accommodation. So it's a thing to where I'm already going, and you know what I mean. Just where don't worry about chipping in because their money is funny. But for me, you can be the best of friends with somebody, but so many days cooped up in the same room with other people can cause people intention to come in the room. If you're a person who's very OCD, but you're around somebody else's junkie or whatever, it can be small things that lead up to big things. And I think even with Shanquella, I believe in my heart that her so-called best friend, I think that he was pillow talking with them other girls, and then he was going to her and saying this, and he was running back over here. But people have to understand that no conversation is just one person. It takes two people to talk. It takes two people to gossip. It's very rare that you're going to find people that's going to do all the damn talking on the phone and nobody else is going to say anything else. So if you know that your money is funny, then maybe you don't need to be traveling. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do traveler's insurance, or you can't just swipe a card and pay for it, then you probably don't need to be freaking going. Okay, so I want to ask TC. She is on the phone. And like I said, I don't really drop links because I don't like to have phone technical issues. But I'm Borgin. I'll be back.
To piggyback on what Shells was saying, when you're traveling, make sure that you carry enough money that you're able to do what you need to do in case of an emergency. You never know what might happen. You travel overseas and you might have to get back a day early because of an emergency at home. Maybe, you know, God forbid something happened to one of your parents or one of your children. What are you going to do? Stay there the extra night until you get, you know, till your plane takes off? Go ahead, Shells.
Okay, can y'all hear me better now? Ain't nothing but the devil. Okay, TC, I'm gonna let you go ahead. You wanted to make a comment?
Yes, Shelly, how you doing? And to the esteemed panelists, to the absolutely awesome chat. I just wanted to say, you said something about financial literacy and this whole travel bit, and linking it up and rounding it off with the unfortunate situation. Number one, BBNice has given us some awesome statistics, some awesome information, and I want to say this, you know, for those of us who are in the LGBTQIA community, I'm the L, we're the first, and so we get to dictate a lot of stuff, and we're going to dictate from here on out. Here's where I go. When we go places, you know, and I mean this from my heart. When I say be discreet, I'm a PDA person. I love displays of affection. But when you know, research where you're going, know where you're going, understand that there are people there that are not necessarily okay with it, and be okay with the fact that some people may not be okay with it. Until things change and until things, you know, take its own evolutionary period of, then don't be going in there trying to shoot your shot with everybody, getting notches on your belt, trying to see who you can turn out, because people don't take too kindly to those kinds of things. Me personally, I don't take too kindly to it. I've had some folks that I brought to my family reunion, and they trying to shoot their shot with my, you know, with folks that are in my family that aren't even down with that. So, you know, just be cool, be discreet, have some kind of discipline about yourself, and then people don't mind if you are whoever you are. They know who you are. But if you're just out there being willy-nilly, folks do not like that kind of stuff. And nobody likes it. It's classless, it's disgusting, and it's bad for the rest of us who are going to those places as well. I wanted to say something. I heard Sharine say something about the whole incident with the Hebrews.
Oh, the Hebrews. Mm-hmm.
Well, Kanye and Kyrie in particular, but Kanye, he could have just kept that information. We've been saying that for like over you know how many years, Shelly, that we've been knowing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
we've
sad.
been knowing that stuff for over 50, 60 years already.
Now, I want to ask you one thing about the Shanquella, because I know we over at 2 hours, and I know these people, they probably getting tired, but we are talking about some stuff that's very important. Now, I was telling them earlier, but I don't think you were here at the moment. You were saying that you still believe that the girl who killed Shanquella is transgender. That is your theory.
My theory is the entity that did that horrific incident with Shanquella has not been confirmed or denied.
So So you wanted them to come. You want them to say that they are or aren't. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, where are they? Yeah, receipts. This thing with femicide is just haunting. Is a haunting charge to me. I've asked several people on several levels of law enforcement, not only here, but I did get a call from the Mexican consulate, and I was talking to them in reference to this femicide thing, and their definition was that it was a crime against a woman from a transgender. I asked that person to please send that to my team. I haven't received it as of yet. But I don't know why that charge is there. I don't know who came up with that charge. Why? Because that person says that entity says that they are a biological. If they're biological, then there should be some receipts. They, according to somebody's word, they have just had a child, correct? Where's the placenta? Where's the? I mean, there's many people on in these YouTube streets that docs about all kind of stuff. Where's the information? So you can't just go around and saying that. I mean, and this is a horrific situation. This is a real life situation, and you have a femicide charge.
Now I'm gonna say this. I know that people have said that the whole femicide came up, and we were talking about this earlier. I think Misunderstood might have brought this up too, because the women were feeling like they just were losing and their lives weren't valuable or whatever. But I will say this: when you put femicide in Google, right away, Shanquella Robinson's name does come up, which I find highly suspicious. Because if this is a thing that has been going on and they've been charging people with this for forever and a day, or even in the last year or 2 years, I don't think that her name should be coming up underneath of all the Google searches. Everywhere you look with that, even in Mexico, her name comes up right up at the top of it. So I find that to be pretty suspicious, in my personal opinion.
Right. I just want to know if that entity is or isn't, because then is the charge different if it's a homicide versus a femicide? What are
from
the
what we covered that earlier? From what we understand, if it's femicide, it's going to have it's going to give more time.
Okay.
It's going to give more time. So.
Shelly,
anyway.
Shelly, can I tell her also, TC is not the fact that, okay, that's a young lady. Femicide does not have to be a male on killing a female. It can be a female killing a female. It's the violent nature that she was killed. It was also that they videotaped her. Her body they felt like because she was naked when they were beating her, that was a display of her invasion of her privacy. So that is why that it was a femicide. She was charged, it was a femicide instead of a homicide.
Right. So what I'm going to do is, TC, is there any one last thing that you want to say? And then I'm going to let you go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let each lady up here on the panel say something, because I know it's getting late. And one of our panel members just went to bed. So TC, is there any final thing that you want to say in reference to the case? Is there anything as far as justice that you would like to see? Anything that, just a final statement that you want to say about the case? Or any of the cases that we talked about tonight?
Any of it, justice for Shanquella. That's the bottom line. Whatever the entities are, all of them should go under the jail. In Mexico, they could go to Siberia for all I care. They could ship them off to wherever. They just all need to be made an example out of, in a very, very egregious sort of way. And that's just the bottom line, whatever the entities are. But I think that there's something coming up with all of this. It's political propaganda. There's a lot of politics that's being played here. My information is saying something totally different, but I'm one of those kind of people. I'm waiting in the wing, and I'm going to listen, and I'm watching very carefully, because I already know there's politics being played here. But, she will get justice. That's the bottom line. And thank goodness for all of you content creators and YouTubers that have brought this and talked this to the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
All right now.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let Miss D.O. go next. She is up here on the panel, and I'm going to go ahead and let her say, is there anything that you would like to say in closing? And for those who may have your first time hearing from Miss D.O., if you like what she brought here tonight, make sure you check her out. I will make sure I have every single content creator's link to their channel, and I will pin it in the comment section down below as well, so you can subscribe and support them here on YouTube.
I just want to thank you for having me, Shirley, and thank everybody on the panel, because this was a great conversation. I hope, many people will be able to replay, because this is something important that we're doing, and we all came together, no matter, what sides or any issues we had, we all came together for one cause. And I hope this is contagious. So, and I'd be happy to do, anything on anybody else's channel. And
I will tell you, I definitely want to have you back again, because I was thinking that I was tired of Shanquella. But then when I witnessed that conversation the other day over there with Jay Dunn, and I said, you know what, maybe we need to have a race, colorism, and all of that mixed into one, because that conversation was very interesting over there the other night. I thank you for joining me. I've definitely enjoyed you here tonight. And then right beside me is, hold on, who is this? Okay, I think that person fell off. Okay, so we're going to go with Misunderstood. Anything that you want to say tonight before you go? And I thank you so much for coming over here. I have enjoyed you in your commentary tonight. This was wonderful.
Thank you. I enjoyed you all as well. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate conversations and you for hosting it. Femicide, you got me thinking a lot about femicide, and so there's been a 135% rise in femicide, and so a lot of it's women by women, not just male. And there's so much hatred sometimes that we have for one another, and it's leading to, now there's a crime femicide, which, they have that in Mexico. So it's nice that we can come together and have these important conversations. And I really appreciate you for inviting me and for letting me be a part of it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I will have another topic next week coming up. And it's going to be LGBT versus, the straight community. And it's not so much versus, because I don't consider myself to be against them. But there are some things that I think that we need to address and that we need to talk about. And so we're going to have that conversation. It's going to be open. So I hope you come back for that. Paid in, in being a part of that. You, Miss O, any of the ladies that were here on the panel tonight is more than welcome to join me next week for that. I do have to reach out to a couple more people, because I want to have at least 3 ladies who are transgender. I feel like, because one person can't speak for a whole community. So I feel like to have somebody from, different, communities to come together. I have one straight male so far. I would love to have another one. Maybe Derek will join me, or third. So, I'm thinking about reaching out to several, different people so that nobody feels like they're not being heard. So, but thank you for joining me tonight, and make sure you guys check out her channel.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. And so we're going to go with SWAAG Found.
Thank you all. I appreciate, I'm grateful to be able to sit amongst you ladies and have grown women conversation, speaking on important topics, and getting a break from listening to the rah-rah. And and
I'm looking forward to also coming to your channel to do the interview, because I know we're going to be doing that soon too. So
yes, we can probably do that maybe next week or this week. Yes, that would be awesome. And I did have some people who came over from where I'm usually at, which I saw them in the chat, so that was awesome. And I my prayer for Shanquella's family is that her mom and dad get the closure that they deserve and get some, not only justice, but just finding out what really truly happened to their baby, especially seeing that they are not, I don't know their ages, but, they seem to be at the retirement age, and, and some things like this can wear on the heart of even a young person. So my prayer is that they get the closure and the justice that they deserve. And I really appreciate you all tonight, and thank you for including me.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is one of the channels that I've been, if you guys have noticed, you guys see me sharing a lot. I've been talking to Vivian a lot about, and I keep telling her that we were supposed to have a meeting with you, but we had just been so busy because, we were doing the give back for Thanksgiving, and then we're trying to work on Christmas as well. So we just been so busy on that, doing stuff that we do on the back end. And a lot of the stuff that we do, we don't even come on here and talk about it because we just, we just do it. So I've been talking to the ladies about you. And so they want us to have a meeting with you or whatever. So we were supposed to do that, but I just got busy. So we definitely have to set that up as well. And so I thank you so much for joining me tonight. And like I said, no, I know that these videos don't get views like that, but that's not going to stop me on talking about stuff that matters to me. You know what I mean? Because like I said, if I cussed out any sister that was up here on this panel tonight, easily 400 or 500 people would have been in this room, which is really sad. But then when something happens to one of us and we try to speak about it, people tend to think that people are not really serious. They don't really grieve behind it. And it's because that, like, people just don't believe it, that we really care about each other. You know what I'm saying? Because it's never shown in the times when it really matters. So I appreciate everybody for being here tonight.
I see it all the time. It's like if someone's cussing out somebody or lying on somebody, it's like everybody's running over there. Yeah, I see that.
Right.
But we have to still do what's necessary and what's important and not focus on the numbers, but the quality. I always say I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies any day. So
absolutely.
Natisha was asking my name. SWAAG Found. It's with 2 A's. Yeah. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Viv. I appreciated you. Viv always has a lot of great detail.
And I do promise you guys that as soon as this video gets time to process so that I can comment in the comment section, I'm going to put the links to all of these ladies' channels, and you can go ahead and subscribe and check them out. So, and if you guys want to know any recent tea or information with me, you'll hear that when she does her interview with me, because I'm sure she'll probably ask some questions that you guys may want to know answers to. But thank you for being here. Then I'm going to go on to Vivian Jennings, my right hand. Why's your screen black? Okay, I see you way over there. It's doing something.
Girl, let me tell you, I'm turned sideways like this, and I got this big blanket on because I got cold. You know how it is, girl. You know how I get. I done had me a glass of wine, too. Not even a glass. I had a cup of wine, girl. A whole coffee cup. And you know, my eyes start getting real small.
You see my eyes, right? Because these have been giving. And by the way, the sale goes off tomorrow. You can use the code okay, and go ahead and hit my link. And I do thank everybody that made purchases, because like I said, I got a check that I haven't even taken to the bank yet from them. So I appreciate everybody who supports Moonwalker. And if you realize that, like, these bottles have 50 in them, so if you notice that the other bottles have 25, it's because they're stronger. So basically, you're going to get less in a bottle, but they're going to be stronger. And they're all on sale. Plus, you can get 25% off. And they also have new bottles with 100 gummies. Okay, the bills got to get paid. So yes, I gotta. At least I ain't on here just dry begging. Okay, I try to work hard for the money. Okay. So Vivian, what would you like to say in closing? And then I want you to stay on here for when I hit this live to the NNN.
All right. We'd also like to say thank you for those of you who have been supporting. First off, I'd like to thank those of you, my everyday people, and those of you who have been supporting me in my channel. Thank you for coming to support me at the Gas Station Chronicles. And yes, I will continue to do the Gas Station Chronicles. Sorry I didn't give you one last night, but I don't know what happened. I think I was lunching. But there will be a Gas Station Chronicle tomorrow night because I got to work. But I like to thank y'all for supporting me. And Shells, thanks for giving me an opportunity to work with such great causes on the back end. Thank you guys for supporting us in the green sector and all that we're doing to try and help the homeless, trying to help women and displaced children. And we like to just thank you guys for just supporting us. As we said earlier, we're trying to get ready for Christmas. We're getting ready for Christmas. We're trying to give out some things to some folks to the women's shelter for Christmas, you guys. So if you guys want to donate, $Vivian Jennings, put it in the comments section, green sector, help for the homeless, help for the displaced women, whatever. Just let us know that it's help for them so that we can go ahead and we can make sure that those things get dispersed and we get some help to some folks that's out there that need help during this Christmas time. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And Shells, thanks for coming up with a great topic for discussion. And the ladies that were up here on the panel, thank you so much for your interesting takes and commentary, because you guys gave some great information.
Yes, absolutely. And I thank each and every one of you all for being here, because without you, okay. And I don't know about nobody else, but I got mine from the dirt. Okay. I didn't get to skip the line, cut the line, and you know what I'm saying, get 1,000 off of somebody or whatever the case may be. And if y'all didn't notice, y'all probably haven't seen me like live other than my my Patreons and my members, because I was live from the bowling alley the other week. So if y'all was a member or Patreon, y'all would know that. And if y'all wanted to know why my hair is like this, it's because I'm locking my hair. So my hair is going to be looking really crazy for a good long time. I think it's going to take probably about it's probably going to take about a year, I think, for me to actually like my hair.
It's going to go through the ugly phase for at least 3, 4, 5, 6 months because your hair is soft.
Yeah.
It's going to go through the ugly phase for about 6 months.
So when y'all see me looking raggedy, y'all can just keep calling me nappy-headed. I don't mind. So yeah, I'm locking my hair. So this is probably the first time that y'all have seen it on camera like this. So it's going to be looking really crazy for a while as it's going through the different stages of locking. And I made up my mind, if I don't like it, it don't matter. I can just shave my head bald, because when I first came on YouTube, I was bald-headed. But anyway, with that being said, I thank you guys so much for being here. I will be back next Sunday. What'd you say, Vivian?
I told Reasoning hi.
Hey,
Reasoning, thank you for my blanket. It's so warm.
I will be live next Sunday. And like I said, we're going to have a LGBT topic, but we're also going to have the straight community talk, because often they feel like they're not heard or they can't say certain things without being labeled as homophobic or transphobic. So we're going to have that conversation next Sunday. And then the week after that, we will have the OGs panel. So I'll be coming through with that. I'm going to go out with a little bit of music, and I will be closing the show. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Justice for Shanquella.
But if I your body, girl, I don't mind. Cause not only you in my mind, oh. Girl, you too fine, go lie, me, I know the lie, oh. Not only you in my head, oh. Yeah, only you in my head, oh. See, now you the cause confusion in my head, yeah. Me, I know the lie, you're my fantasy. You're my fantasy. Only you in my head, oh. Only you in my head. commotion in my head, oh. Me, I know the lie of my fantasy. Can you even imagine what is going on inside? Is this reality? Oh yeah, 'cause I don't wanna wake up from this dream. Them say something must kill a man, oh, nah, nah, nah. But if not your body, girl, I don't mind, oh yeah. 'Cause not only you in my mind, oh yeah, yeah. See you to find me, I know the liar. Now only you in my head, oh yeah. Only you in my head, oh. See now you they cause confusion in my head, oh yeah. Me I know the liar, my me I know the liar. Only you in my head, only you in my head, oh. See now you they cause commotion in my head, oh yeah. Me I know the liar, my fantasy. See now only you in my head, only you in my head, oh. See now you they cause confusion in my head, oh. I know the lie, I know the lie. Only you in my head, oh yeah. Only you in my head, oh. See now you the cause commotion in my head, oh. Me I know the lie of my fantasy.